So, something pretty wild just happened in the academic world in Japan. Mukogawa Women's University. I mean, this is one of the biggest, most respected all women's schools in the country, suddenly announced it's going to start admitting men. And people were confused, even a little upset, because from the outside, the university looked like it was doing great.
And that's the big question we're digging into, right? Why on earth would a school that's financially secure, with nearly full enrollment, decide to completely overhaul its 85-year-old identity? Well, as we're about to see, the real story isn't on the surface. It's lurking in the numbers.
Okay, so let's get into it. To really understand this, we have to peel back the layers and look past those shiny enrollment numbers. We need to see how students are actually getting in. And that's where we find our very first clue. In Japan, the gold standard for getting into a university is through what's called the general selection exam. Think of it like a really tough, standardized test. How many students a university gets through this exam is a huge signal of its prestige and how much top students want to go there. Now, let's rewind the clock just a little bit to 2020. Back then, things looked pretty solid. Over 40% of the students at Mukogawa got in through those competitive exams. That's a really healthy number. It says the university's reputation is strong, but fast forward to this year, and wow, what a difference. That number has absolutely plummeted to under 25%. So to keep their classrooms full, they've had to lean way more on other ways of letting students in. I mean, a 17-point drop in just 4 years? That is a free fall. The analyst who first spotted this pointed out that if this keeps up, that traditional admission route could pretty much disappear by the early 2030s. This is the first very serious crack in the foundation. So you're probably wondering, if your students are getting in the traditional way, how are they still filling all those seats? Well, they've been using a kind of stopgap measure, a patch to plug the hole. And that patch is called recommendation-based admissions. Basically, this is a system where high schools can vouch for their students, recommending them for a spot at the university, and often letting them skip that super intense exam process. And to make up for the drop we just saw, Mukogawa has been taking in more and more students this way. And, for a while, it worked. It kept the enrollment numbers looking good. But it was like putting a Band-Aid on a much bigger problem. It hid a more dangerous issue that was brewing just beneath the surface. And this, right here, is where we get to the absolute heart of the problem. It turns out the pool of students applying through this recommendation system, well, that's shrinking too. And this isn't just a small problem. It's a full-blown mathematical crisis waiting to happen. Just look at this trend. It's so clear. Every single year, the number of applicants goes down, from over 6,300 to just over 5,600. But to keep the lights on and classes full, the number of students they have to accept from that shrinking pool keeps going up. You see the problem, right? The two lines are getting dangerously close. And the person who crunched these numbers really hit the nail on the head with this quote. Because when you project this trend out just a few more years, you get a result that is genuinely terrifying for a university. Okay, let's walk through this, because this is where it gets real. The projection for 2029 shows they'll only get about 188 students from those tough exams. That means they have to find a lot more students through recommendations, about 1,680 more than today, which brings the total number of students they need to accept through that route to a whopping 4,230.
And this is the slide that sets off all the alarm bells. By 2029, the number of students projected to apply is about 4,250, and the number they have to accept is 4,230. The acceptance rate would be nearly 100%. The university would basically have to accept anyone who applies. And for any academic institution, that's a death knell.
So that leads us to the final, most critical question. Why? Why is the applicant pool getting smaller and smaller? The answer has nothing to do with the university's reputation and everything to do with a massive force that no one can control: simple demographics.
What you're looking at here is the future. It's the projected number of young women between 15 and 19 years old in the university's main recruiting ground. Right now, there are about 300,000 of them. But in about a decade, that number is set to drop to 250,000. This is the root cause of the entire problem. That's almost a 20% decline. Think about that. A fifth of your core customer base is just vanishing. This isn't a temporary slump. It's a permanent shift. The pool of potential students is quite literally drying up. So now that we have all the pieces of the puzzle, the whole picture comes into focus, and you realize the university's leadership wasn't just panicking. They were looking at this data and seeing the future coming right at them. When you lay it all out, the verdict is just inevitable. Your most prestigious admissions route is collapsing. The Band-Aid fix you've been using is about to tear, and the entire pool of people you recruit from is shrinking forever. Faced with that, there's really only one big move you can make. If you can't get more women to apply, you have to double the entire pool. Admitting men isn't giving up. It's a bold, calculated move for survival. And really, this story leaves us with a much bigger question. It's not just about one university in Japan. It's about leadership. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? When the data on your screen is screaming that a crisis is coming in 5 years, when is the right time to make a painful, unpopular choice? Maybe the answer is right now.